Hello, welcome back to my garden. It's the third week in February, so we're in late February, and today we're going to sow some more seeds. We've got 8 to sow today. 2 will be outside here in the beds behind me, and the other 6 will be in the greenhouse back there. Now through this video I'm going to try to answer some questions you might have if you're just starting out in your garden journey. We'll talk about some seed trays. I find that's often talked about in some of these gardening videos, so we'll look at seed trays very quickly. We'll talk about the soil again, what soil to use, what compost to use, additives you might want to put in there. And then I'm going to show you the techniques for sowing all these seeds. And at the very end, I will do a very quick update on the seeds sown 2 weeks ago. Now, if you saw that video, please go back. It's been fantastic. The feedback has been brilliant. Really appreciate that. Keep liking, commenting and subscribing. It's awesome. Right, let's get started. Now, I'm going to start off by heading over to the greenhouse. And if you come down here with me, we're going to have a look at the seed trays. Now what you'll find is over time you collect more and more different types of seed trays, and if you've been doing this for a while it's pretty automatic which ones you reach for. But if you're new, there's a bit of a boggling array of different types. So here we go. We'll show you what the main ones I'm going to use are and why. Now if you see these are heavy duty seed trays. They are very thick plastic. I've had these ones probably 8-9 years, maybe a long time, and they are fantastic. Unlike a lot of the other ones, they last a very long time, as I say, and they are my go-to. So they're really useful because not only are they a seed tray for small seeds, and we'll use them in a minute, they're also brilliant for putting in inserts. So here's an insert, put them in there, and that prevents, so you have a nice seed tray there, look, see? And that prevents you having to manage something which by itself is very floppy and really hard to work with. So if you see any of those, and if you're only going to buy one type of seed tray, buy that one. And then over here, I also recommend getting some of these. These are half size, same thing, very firm, very strong, half size seed trays. They're useful if you don't want to sow massive amounts of anything. I always like lettuce, for example, in these, as we'll see in a minute. And then we have these other trays here. And these ones are different types of potting on. So these ones here are module trays. I use these to prick out the lettuce and small seedlings. And some of the other ones are bigger module trays. So these ones for a bigger plant. Some of them, like those over there, I might even say something direct to like a bean, because it's quite a big module. So those are module trays, pricking out, sowing larger seeds. That's your go-to half size. And you're also going to want some covers, which we'll see in a minute. So that's seed trays. Let's go inside the greenhouse now. I mustn't fall over the step. And let's look at soil. Now, if you're quick with your poor screen frame, you'll see the seeds we're going to sow today. They're over here. We've got some vegetables. Parsnip, peas, lettuce, and then we're going to start some flowers today. We've got some dahlia, some cosmos, lupin and marigolds. I'll tell you why we get to those, but let's talk soil. Now I start most of my seeds in the same mix. So this is a seed soil. Seed soils are full of a lot of sand, so they're great in terms of starting these off because they are very fine, so that's good for seed starting, but it does tend to clump together, and because it clumps together, see that, I am putting an additive. Now the white additive you can see in there is something called perlite. I speak about this in most of my early videos. Here's a bag of perlite. This is a UK variety, probably everywhere of course, and basically it's a volcanic rock. There you go. It's white in colour. It has no moisture retaining properties. It just adds air and stops the soil clumping together too much. There's another popular additive called vermiculite, which we'll get to in a minute. So this is what we're going to start. So the next job now is I'm going to organise the seed trays I want from out there, and for speed I'm going to fill all the seed trays in at once with the soil. So I'll come back to you in just a minute. Right, there you go. So we've got the seed trays are all full up with compost. These two are different, but the rest are the same. What I mean by that, so these ones are all filled fairly high up in the tray, and those two are filled slightly lower in the tray because the seeds are different. Now it's easy to work it out really. The smaller seeds need to be on compost, and I'll cover them with a very fine level of vermiculite, which is down there, and the bigger seeds, this will be the marigolds for example, they need to go in about 1/2 centimetre below the surface of the soil. Now how do you know that? Actually, it's really easy. Obviously, you can watch gardening videos on YouTube, but frankly, the easiest thing to do is to get yourself a packet of seeds. Now, whilst saving seeds is great, I'm trying to find a good example. Here we go. Saving seeds is great. The benefit of some of the shop-made seeds, like this one here, this is the parsnip we'll say in a moment. Let's bring it into the camera so you can see. On the back of the packet, there are detailed instructions. It will show you when to plant out. So in this case, you plant aside where the blue is. So that's February, March, April, May. When to harvest, and others will have instructions such as when to transplant, and the rest, we'll get to that when we get to it. But it also tells you how deep to plant the seeds. There's good advice in there, but rule of thumb, if a seed is bigger, it needs to be deeper. If it's very, very small, it needs to be near the surface of the plant pot. So it's not that difficult. Now, I don't know if you can hear in the background. You might say to me, Chris, why are you planting so many flowers today? You're supposed to be called Man Grow Veg, not flowers. And the reason is two. One, I am a big believer in companion planting. So in the greenhouse here, this will be for tomatoes. We're going to grow tomato, basil, and marigolds in here because they work very well together. And because also we keep bees. Just hear them. And actually in the greenhouse with me today, there's a large number. They've woken up today because it's sunny and warm, and they're obviously quite hungry because they're flying around trying to get at the compost, which is full of all sorts of interesting things to bees. Largely, they're behaving themselves, so that's fine. But I grow lots of flowers because of bees. So I put lots of flowers in the veggie beds over there, as we'll see later in the summer. And that brings the bees as pollinators across to my vegetables and helps increase vegetables. And obviously it's good for the bees. And we get lots of lovely honey. So that's why I do flowers as well as veg. Okay, we're getting to the start now. So we're going to start off with our watering can. Most of the smaller seeds in particular require you to give the soil a good soaking before you sow the seeds. And that's so you don't wash them away. So if you wet the soil first, and then if you put a very thin layer of compost on the top, or vinegar on the top, the seed will be in contact with moist soil, and you won't need to immediately re-water them, and you won't therefore wash the seed away. So we always start off by watering our compost. Now let's get into sowing. I'm going to try and do lots of close-ups in this video, so excuse me for talking to the soil a lot for the next few minutes, but I'm going to try and show you the seeds. So here we go. This is the first one, marigold. All right, so I'm going to plant two varieties of marigold. There they are. They're quite similar, but they're different. I don't really mind which. And here are the seeds. So these are quite big seeds, a good one to start. Now, if you have children, they are brilliant because they're really, really easy to sow because they're very unforgiving and they're very big. And literally, you just sprinkle on the soil. So, or even drop some, doesn't matter. So there you go. I'm just going to cover the soil with them. And that's it. You'll see I really haven't been particularly careful. They're all over the place. We're going to plant these on later, so don't worry about clumping together. We'll prick them out as they get bigger. And that's it. And then all you need to do with marigold is take some more compost. We spread it over the surface. And it needs maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 mil over the top. So we'll spread that out in a minute. We'll put some vermiculite on the top. The next plant we're going to sow is cosmos. This is a tall variety. And here you go. Again, they're quite large seeds. So again, I can be pretty casual with them. I'm going to sprinkle them over the soil here. Pretty rough and ready, to be honest. I'm not very dainty with these things. It doesn't matter. And again, this seed requires compost over the top to about, I don't know, 3 or 4 mil maybe. So we'll do that one. And then I'll just show you as well, on the marigolds, you'll see the last thing I always do, I mentioned before, is put a label in, because you'll be surprised how quickly you forget which trays and which, and you can tell when they can't start coming through. But you know, there are some things where it's hard to tell, such as brassicas. They all look exactly the same. So labels are really important. Okay, the next seed is a regular size cosmos, I suppose you would say. This is a sensation mixed. Now again, the seeds are quite big, so again, a good one to sow with kids. And again, I'm just going to be pretty rough and ready, put them over the soil like that, fairly evenly spread. I will prick these out as they get bigger, so I'm not too worried about them being too busy. I'm going to leave those there for now because they have a different covering. We'll come back to the cosmos in just a minute. The next one is a delia. This is a late summer flowering plant. So these will flower from September up to November. So late summer colour, there you go, in your garden. And here we go. These are the seeds. Again, they're quite big, so another good one for kids. And again, I'm going to be fairly haphazard with the scattering over the seed tray. What I will say with these is they are absolute slugfest. The slugs love them, at least they do in my garden. These and the next seed I'm going to sow. So I will need to protect these when they go outside. I will probably let them go a little bit bigger before I plant them out because I don't want this effort not to be worth it. So those are dahlias. And the next one is this. This is lupin. And I love lupins. They provide fantastic, tall, striking flowers. I usually plant that here in this raised bed here. It's got grassy now, but it's normally where they go. And they give a real cottage garden. Field garden. I haven't grown any for a while. And the reason is they take 2 years. So this is the seed, and they won't typically flower until the 2nd year. So you've got to grow them in the greenhouse or outside somewhere like a cold frame. And then you plant them out in the autumn and you get flowers the following year. So it's a longer task, but frankly, it's worth it. So lupins, again, they're going to be picked out. So we're going to scatter the lupin seeds on the compost there. I'm being a bit cheeky and doing it on top of another couple of seed trays. I'm being a bit careful not to mix them up, but lupin seeds are really easy to tell, so I wouldn't worry too much. That's lupins. And the last two for in here are lettuce. Now these are red lettuce called red salad bowl, and another one here called Webb's Wonderful. I will grow lots of varieties of lettuce through the year, and I'll try and sow some every 3 to 4 weeks, and that will guarantee you a regular supply of lettuce through the seedling. Now, I did one on camera because the seeds, you see, are quite small. Lettuce is a bit harder. Now, I only use half trays because I'm going to sow these regularly, as I just said. Frankly, you don't want too much of the same type, the same age. All it will do is go off and then bolt. So little and often is the key with lettuce, and I've probably already got too many seeds in this hand, so I'm just going to sprinkle them over the seed tray there. Now these ones will need pricking out into the small modules. These ones probably as quickly as 2 weeks time. They go very fast. I thought I hadn't been on the front of the camera for ages. Now that's, you know what, actually it's going to be 7 seeds inside. I said 6 there, I mean 7 because 2 lettuce types. I'm just going to do the second lettuce, and I'm going to come back and show you the covering, which will be for all of the trays, but in particular the ones where we haven't covered them in soil. So seeds all sown. What we now need is this, which is, there you go, vermiculite. Now this is also a volcanic rock. This one is almost spongy to the feel. It does retain moisture, and for that reason it's great as a topping substance to your seeds. Now I am using it as the covering for the seeds that didn't need very much to go on top, which is most of them in this case. I'm also going to use it for the ones at the back just to give a moisture covering there, because in the greenhouse it can get quite warm. You can see here I've got the vents open today and it's in February. Now it's that one over there also adjusts, but it's not normally enough. I should get some more really. But frankly, that's the fun of having a greenhouse and having the privilege of growing your own veg. You come down here a lot, so it's fine. So I'm going to get that done, and I'm going to come back to you, and then we'll talk about doing some seed sowing outside. I'm sorry, I told you, porky figure. I said we're going to go outside, but I forgot a stage. So here we are. We've got all the seeds sown and covered it with the vermiculite. Next thing is to put some lids on because it's warm now, but it won't be later. So here we are. I've got lots and lots of these plastic covers. These will fit over the seed trays. Well, there's the closet's cupboard. I'm going to cover them all like that, and then I'm going to very carefully, so don't drop any, bob them over here onto my rack like that, and that will sit there, just there. In fact, you can see obviously the ones from last week, they're already. So, and obviously below that I've got the sweet pea. So that's the final step in here. We'll get those done. And we're done. So the seeds are finished, they're in their racks. And I'll stay there now probably for a bit of a seed, I guess, 2-3 weeks, they'll start germinating. But that's just maybe as fast as half a week even, if it's warm, we'll see. And once they do that, we'll start pricking out. So the next video will definitely have some pricking out. But here we are, we're in the garden now. I promised you some outdoor seed sowing, so that's what we're gonna do next. And it's gonna be in this bed here. Now, all my beds are no-dig beds, and there's some videos on my channel about that and how I made these ones. I will be making 2 more. You can see there's a gap over there and over there later in the season, but for now I'm obviously using my current ones. Now, again, you can see from the no-dig beds how few weeds they are, which is fantastic, and that's exactly why I did it, because I mentioned in my channel heading that I'm a parent. I don't have that long to do this, and I haven't spent every weekend hours and hours weeding. So no dig is the way forward. Now for this bed, all I've done is I've got a rake over, and I have topped it up with another 2 or 3 inches of soil, which is what you need to do. Now my long-term plan is to have my own soil. I've got a big compost bin over there, but it's not quite ready, so this is shop bought. But later in the season we'll have my own compost, and we'll show you that too. But let's make a start with sowing some seeds. Now, I think as I said before, these seeds will be the parsnip and some peas. The peas, strictly speaking, are a bit early. I'm going to cover them with these fabric covers down there and just see what happens. The parsnip do need to go in now. They are very, very slow growing crop. They take at least 21 days to germinate, so a long old time. They won't survive in my garden without a cover, so they're going to be under the mesh. In that hedge behind me, there are definitely rabbits, so they need to be covered up. And you can't transplant them. So a lot of root vegetables, and particularly parsnips, hate being transplanted, so you've got to sow them direct. I do have some cheats for carrots and beetroot that work well, which I'll do probably in a couple of weeks, and I'll show you those then. But for now, parsnip. Now, in this bed, you'll see I've actually barely seen them. There's two trenches. One is wet, that's for the parsnip, and one is dry, that's for the peas. That's the preparation, trench is done. And all I'm going to do is, like before, is take my parsnip seeds and I'm going to sprinkle them gently down this trench, and I'm going to make sure it's fairly evenly spaced. Here are the seeds. I'm not going to do this live on camera because I've only got this handful and I want to spread them evenly. But my goal is going to be parsnips for Christmas 2025. Yes, they take that long, and no, I've never managed it before. So I'll get those in, then I'll show you. Okay, so parsnips in the ground. I'm going to cover them in a moment. Before I do that, I'm going to do the next seed, which are these. These are peas. This is a variety called Ambassador. They are super forgiving, really easy to grow. I usually get 3 or 4 batches in throughout the year. In the past, I've always used the greenhouse to start them off. I'll probably do that too. I'm going to try an early one under cover just to give it a go. Do something different this year is what I've done before. And again, I've got these covers now, so hopefully I'll keep away the bunny rabbits. But peas are so easy. Now this one I will do live because it's really, really easy. All you need to do is drill a trench, like that, and you just sprinkle them in to your trench. Now a packet will give you some really precise, I've got more, don't worry, some really precise guidance for how far apart they should be planted, and precise measurements for the rows and precise measurements for everything really. Don't worry too much, just have a go. You'll do better just get them in the ground than worrying too much. So there you go, they're in the ground. There's the row of peas there, row of parsnips there, and all I need to do now is cover them. So I'm just going to fold the soil over, and it's a no dig bed, so I don't have to do anything difficult. Now the soil for the peas is dry. I'm going to water that after, but the soil for the parsnips is wet, so I'm not going to water that one. Remember the rule, small seed, water after. So I'm just taking bunches of soil, putting it over the top of the seed like that, all the way down my row, and because it's no dig, as I say, this couldn't be any easier. When that's done, I will be finished for the day. So that's it, the parsnips there and the peas are in and covered over these nets. I actually found them really good last year, not only at rabbits, but also at stopping slugs and also birds. So if you had a slug problem, and lots of us did last year, I can recommend these nets. They weren't expensive. And I got most of my brassicas and lettuces to a reasonable size, really, to fill the nets until I think about removing them. So a great solution for slug issues. But that's it in the garden. I think we've sown 8 or 9 varieties, I forget now. We're now going to go back to the house like I promised, and I'm going to show you how the tomatoes and the chilies are getting on. They're indoors. And then that will be the end of today's video. If you have enjoyed it, please do remember to like and subscribe. I'll probably remember to say this again at the end. If you've got any questions, comment, ask questions. And if there's anything you'd like to see me grow in Yorkshire, as long as I can in Yorkshire, do let me know. I can't do a pineapple. That won't happen. But anything that's climate sensible, I'll give a go. I look forward to catching up in just a minute. Okay, so ending my video back with ended the last couple actually, back by the windowsill. Now, most of my seeds, as you've seen, are in the greenhouse, but a few of them are in here. These are the chilies from a couple of weeks ago. They are, no, let's say a couple, they're about 5 weeks old now, so they've germinated and are starting to grow. They'll be potting on very soon. And from last video, these are tomatoes. So they were on heat, as you can see below here. That's been turned off now since about Thursday, which is 2 days ago. But they've got a good generation, so I've got 2 or 3 seeds per pot there. A couple haven't come through yet, but most of them have. So I'm pleased with that. So that's tomatoes. Again, I'm going to plant these on probably as soon as I see those first true leaves coming through, and I'll explain those terms in a later video. But that's it for today. Now, hopefully you've enjoyed that. Hopefully you've got some value. If you have, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Now, March is going to be mental busy. We're going to be doing potting on, we're pricking out, and more seed sow. So if can't wait for that. I'm looking forward to it, and I'll speak to you then.